So the jazz musicians were the architects of American cool, literally, and an alternative lifestyle, if you will. You had extreme racism going on at that time when jazz was being formulated. And so in New Orleans, which does allow people to come together and mix a bit and enjoy this music, cannabis was percolating there. And as the musicians traveled here, there, and everywhere, cannabis would go along for the ride. And then Louis Armstrong, who was one of the architects of jazz music, one of the greatest that ever did it, was a huge everyday cannabis aficionado who used to refer to it as his golden leaf. And a buddy of mine, Steve Hager, that was the editor of High Times back in the days that put all the hip hop people on the cover, he has a theory that the golden leaf was clearly like a very cultivated plant for the flower, which was golden and had a high THC content. So there was a connect that he feels Louis had in New Orleans that he got strain. That on the regular. If I could only get one of them seeds and bring it back to life, let's hit the Louis Armstrong archive and see.
Getting arrested and then saying, Louis Armstrong. Yeah, Louis Armstrong, right. And then saying, I'm not going on the road anymore if you can't give me a permit.
So that was a letter to his then manager, who actually had been a gangster, and that was Louis' longtime manager, and he was basically saying, listen, people can get a permit for a gun. I should be able to get a permit for this plant I like to smoke, because people were messing with him, which makes so much sense.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And so that was part of the struggle, and he was one of the high-profile advocates of cannabis at that time. So it was all a lot of stuff. And then there was another interesting guy that I get to shine light on that my dad and his friends had actually brought weed from, a guy by the name of Mez Mesereau. This was a white Jewish cat, clarinet player, beloved in the Black Harlem jazz community, who was super into the weed. And that's right, a part of what I just told you about the Louis Armstrong gold leaf connection, apparently this is what Mez Mesereau had. He was referred to as the Mighty Mez. There's a record, Dreamed About a Reefer, 5 feet long, the Mighty Mez, but not too strong. I get into all this in the movie. Yeah. His weed was so good that the term for good weed was, that's that Mez y'all smoking over there. His shit was that on point.